Welcome back to the Blindsiders. We are here to talk about episode 7 of Survivor 41. I'm joined, as always, by Brian and Dylan, and it's an interesting episode. A bit of a mess,
Yes.
Yeah,
but
big
yeah. Some might say a fun mess. Some might say just a mess. I don't know.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I will say, good episode for me. Very good episode for me in my predictions of last week. Some of them I ended up being wrong on. We'll get into it. I think everyone at some point was right last week about our predictions for this week, which is very interesting. We'll get into it.
Yeah, so for me it was good. I think the biggest thing it does for me as a viewer, as someone who's covering the show, it gives me a much better understanding of where each player is in terms of their survivor player like capacity, if that makes sense. Because I did think there were some very obvious things, and hey, far be it from me to say anything being at home, full, not starving on an island and being paranoid. But I did think there were like some very obvious moves that were, kind of looked over, or like things were seemingly very obvious that didn't seem obvious to the castaways in the moment. So I feel like I understand the players a little bit better now.
Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna go through all the good and bad decisions and moves and and players this episode for sure. I think we would pretty quickly get through the first like 20 minutes of the episode because like basically nothing happened other than the challenge.
Good challenge, though.
It was it's a classic one that they've done. I think is the first time they did it San Juan del Sur. That's the one I remember the best.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Who was that? Bailey won that one?
Yeah, Baylor. Yeah.
Baylor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Bailey would be a normal name, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the Baylor Wilson Memorial Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, the challenge I'm most sure I couldn't do, probably. Outside of like, the carry the heavy weight around in the water challenge. Like, This is probably the next one. It's like, ooh, don't quite have the core strength to pull this one off.
My legs just get tired looking at that.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
legs get tired when I try to like sit up on the couch that I'm like too much on, so I can't imagine having to do that.
No.
Yeah, shout out Ricard. I didn't think he was gonna win that. I thought either Sid or Evie had that. He kind of came out of nowhere there. Probably due to editing. He was probably doing great the whole time. But
Right.
Good for him. First solo individual immunity challenge winner of the season. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him. It's an accomplishment.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like Evie and Sydney also, did really good. I think that I guess the one upside to half of the tribe being randomly immune is it makes the individual immunity challenge mean more. Whereas like some of these kind of early merge immunities don't really matter too much, because as long as like the one or two people that are in trouble don't win, it doesn't really matter. But in this case, it came down to the three people who are probably going to be the most likely on the chopping block here. So
yeah, sometimes it's just like they're like the early challenges where someone wins a few and then like gets themselves in trouble for no reason.
Yeah,
the Joe Anglem special, if you will.
Yeah, I guess we are though varying the lead a little bit. Brian, what are your thoughts here on the way that they did the if we could turn back time reveal that everybody saw coming? Because as we said last week, this was obviously the move.
Well, as we said last week, we had to do the smash so we could get a cool slow motion shot.
Yep.
Nailed it. And so did the show. It did look cool. I'll give them that.
I guess.
I think my favorite part of it was Erica comes in hot. Like, I got the chance to turn back time and this, and like, if I'm sitting there like, damn, Exile really scrambled her brain. But no, the Probst is like, let me step in because she's explaining it all wrong.
Yeah.
Here's the bullshit.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the show's fault for like
Mm,
explaining it to her, like, "Oh, I'm going to give you the power to turn back time and rewrite history." Erica, why didn't you explain this twist to the other castaways? Well, I was given the opportunity to turn back time and rewrite history, which
mhm.
obviously doesn't mean anything. And it's just like, oh, well, I'm just going to make sure that everybody who was immune is actually not immune, and everyone who wasn't immune is.
Yeah, no,
So,
they're like, okay, it sounds stupid when you say it, so
yeah,
like we're not gonna let you say it anymore.
What I enjoyed was, and it was pretty much like what it was like almost a lie. It was like looking back at how we reacted when we first heard it, of just how like pissed the people that were being unimmunized. That's not a word. That were losing their immunity.
Mm,
How pissed they were, and it even went to when they went back to the beach too. Mainly Danny and Deshaun. I'd be pissed also.
mm-hmm.
And it was a great point was brought up later on about we did our job, we won the challenge, and then I don't know what this shit is. It's like this is what I'm used to Survivor. I'd be
Yeah.
pissed too. It was it's a massive it was a massive ordeal. I honestly for a split second thought there was a chance she wasn't going to do it.
Mm.
So I'm very very glad she did because I was able to watch the rest of the episode because like I said if she wasn't going to do it I was going to shut it off. So
Yeah, she didn't do it. Put her face on the Mount Rushmore of dumb Survivor players because
yeah.
Jesus, that would have
No,
been brutal.
there was like
other
7 dumb moves this episode. That would have been dumber than all of them
I
somehow.
was about to say there were so many moves that could have went wrong in this episode that I would have said maybe there's some of the worst moves that almost happened in this episode. That would have been topped it, but man, there was a lot of very risky things going on here.
Yes. Yeah. No. I think obviously it was just she was gonna do it. There's no reasoning for her not to. So like, the fact that she did, I think, is good. But if I'm Danny, I'm just as pissed. I fucking pushed a giant boulder like across this thing just to not be immune. That's some bullshit. And like, I think it was Shannon Gates, I believe her name is. That she's on RHAP. She had a tweet like about how the game this season isn't a monster, but it's like the 17th or what would it be 19th player in the sense that like it can lie to you now, which like takes like the fairness out of the game. And I totally agree with her. I doubt she'll listen to this. She has more like prestigious Survivor podcasts to be on to listen to, but I thought that was a really excellent point. Like when the game's lying to you, I think we've gone a little bit too far.
Because also in hindsight, it was basically it was structured that no matter who won that challenge, whoever was put on Exile Island was going to vote against the
Mm-hmm,
team that won.
mm-hmm.
It's basically from the very beginning, the team that won lost.
Yes. Yep.
So as I'm explaining, probably what everyone knows. So, but like I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said, imagine waiting years and years to get on Survivor, and this is finally the Survivor you deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think even to Brian's point, something to back that up as well is the only interesting aspects of this episode with regards to like the twists and all of that were because everybody knew where all the pieces were.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
basically all of the advantages and idols are public knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they were actually able to play around them in an interesting way and like, do some cool strategy or potentially bad strategy that we're going to talk about. But yeah, I agree with Brian. Like, if like the rules of the game are not clear, then it's just not interesting to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I guess we can move on from that. Danny gets his little scene where he, subtweets the producers in real time.
Mm-hmm.
He'll never
Like-
be invited back. Jeff was never going to invite Danny back. The second he questions the show,
Yeah.
Danny will never. Be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Heather probably is going to get a call before him, despite not being on the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter how unfair the twist is, you never want to be complaining about it openly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess what we immediately see here is this, like, poor Luvu and friends intersected with this, like, people of color or, like, Black Folks Alliance that we saw
I've seen it called on Twitter the camp out after the cookout, and I thought that was really good.
Great.
I'm
Good.
good.
I'm good with that because there's no name for it, and this is like the one bad thing about Survivor. The like in Big Brother alliance names can get really dumb, but it makes talking about the strategy a lot easier.
Yes.
So we have this kind of like core group, which is Shan, Danny, Deshawn. Ricard is also in that conversation because apparently, like, you know, Shan was able to get Ricard a ticket, but Liana was not able to get a ticket to this alliance. And then, like, Sydney is also in this conversation. Nasir is, like, on the peripheral of it. And they're like, okay, well, all of us except for Evie are in this alliance, so I think we probably should just vote out Evie.
Yeah, I mean that's like the one thing that the twist does kind of do to like undermine this like power structure that we were talking about, was like because they are forced to pick from a small group of people, they can't do like the +1 strategy that would have made it even like more powerful as an alliance that was under the radar. So I guess for better or worse, at least the twist makes the game a little bit more interesting in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, after their gameplay this episode, I don't know if they would be able to pull that off, anyways.
Fair.
But...
I think the what we saw on that beach is that even with Shan, I don't think that there's a clear dominating force there right now. I think I still really like Shan a lot even at the end of this episode, but I think we're potentially going into a struggle of maybe Deshawn and Danny, who I think are two of the tighter duos there, and maybe clashing with potentially in their own camp out alliance with Lena and Shan. I think that's something to watch because I think that there's two different factions within that alliance. Because I mean, in the end, that could be the final four. Then I think that that's going to get broken up somehow. We'll see, but I think that was the glimpse of that.
Shan doesn't strike me as the type of player who like would go down to the final four and be like, all right, 2 versus 2, let's see where the chips fall. Like, Shan strikes me as a player who will try to get out ahead of it, and then, you know, I think Danny and Deshawn would as well. So
we'll go into it. She's maybe also the only person who is like playing with her head of previous Survivor. We'll get into it. Maybe the only smart person there. We'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. we'll get to the apportioning blame for these mistakes segment of the podcast for sure. But yeah, after it becomes clear, I think, to everyone in this group, and then basically to everybody on the tribe in this. Well, I was gonna say in this merge tribe, but apparently it's not a merge tribe technically, even though it is.
right.
It becomes clear to everybody in the game that the primary target is Evie, and Xander's like, "Yeah, I got you. You're good."
Yeah, he's just like, I'll play my idol for you. It's fine. Like, which hey, great ally to have. Someone who just immediately, no questions asked. I got your back. Don't even sweat it. That's awesome.
And it's almost like Evie gave off this impression too, but am I wrong in thinking that I had zero idea that Evie, Tiffany, and Xander were super, super close and had like exiled Leanna? Because when she randomly said that Tiffany, Xander, and Evie were super, super close, I thought that she was just lying, and then they kind of cut to that like that was the new threesome. It feels like we were missing a lot of camp time to build that, because I thought everybody was turning on Xander.
I don't think Evie felt that close to Xander until Xander was like, I'll play my idol for you. Because we had that confessional where she was like, honestly, I wouldn't have done that for him. So now I think it's like, I think in Xander's mind, Evie's his number one. But like, I don't think Evie was, or Xander was Evie's number one before that.
Yeah.
I just think we're missing so much building with Yase. Because I generally don't think that there was that much conflict with the other tribes once they merged. But apparently with Yase, there was some sort of war merging with Leanna and everybody else that we just didn't see. Because Leanna was so hell-bent that Xander was an asshole and that there was a tight three. And I'm like, we're not seeing any of this on screen. So
Yeah.
I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, she just didn't like Xander. I think like for a while now, right? Like since the Voce, right?
Yeah.
That was his name. Since
Yep.
his vote, she wanted Xander gone. So she's been holding on to this animosity of Xander Golden Boys his way through all the challenges. You
Mhm.
know, she's not about it.
She also recognized he had way too much power way too early on, and yet they still voted out Boche for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it paid off, I
It
think,
did.
for Evie here.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it was somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy, where I think from Xander's perspective, like Xander thought it was him and Evie with Tiffany as the three, but I think from both Tiffany and Evie's perspective, at least up until the like fake merge, it was going to be the three women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a few things happened. One was Liana hiding the advantage until it like was necessary for it to be revealed. We saw that last week where like Tiffany voiced her satisfaction with Liana like keeping the advantage from them and then wanting to use it to target Xander right away, which was like kind of counterproductive to the Yasa 4 working as a team. I think also then we see Liana very openly working with Shan and kind of like socially and strategically ostracizing herself from the rest of the Yasas. And then again, we see Tiffany then communicating the advantage stuff to Evie. And then, as Brian said, Evie realizing that Xander was putting his neck on the line to have her back when Liana is basically leaving them out to dry. So I think it's a combination of things. And I think Liana kind of got like paranoid within her position in Yasa, kind of saw a potential better path forward with Shan and this like camp out alliance, and just like maybe jumped ship a little too quickly.
Yeah, or at least too openly.
Too openly as well, yeah.
Yeah, as far as that goes, I think at that point when Evie kind of realizes like I'm literally on an island of one in this like group, like everyone else was on the same tribe pre-merge and I'm the one who's not. Like I need to take trust wherever I can get it.
Yeah. 100%. And yeah, so then we get to what I think is one of the more interesting scenes in the episode, which is Xander now knows about Liana's advantage because Tiffany told Evie, and then Evie told Xander, I believe, was the order of operations. Or maybe Tiffany told them both, regardless. But then, in order to, as Xander puts it, stir up some chaos to maybe, yeah. Because in Survivor, if you're in the bad position, chaos is your friend. If you're in a good position, chaos is your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Xander says, okay, I'm going to go to Danny, and also Sydney is there, and tell them that I have the idol, and I'm playing it on Evie, and also tell them about Liana's advantage.
Mm.
Well, what was your thoughts on this move here, Dylan?
So I can't say anything wrong about Xander, so I want to applaud it. I don't think I personally would have went and did that because I think that the best advantage he had at that point was knowing about Liana's advantage and knowing that there's something he could have done about it. I mean, clearly in the end things paid off, but I thought that was interesting because in the end it also didn't really seem like. I mean, it opened up the floodgates for them to know that an advantage was being played, which was stupid. Because they would have had Deshaun that they still almost were able to get Deshaun. So bad move by Xander. I'll say it. It was it was dumb. He had everything he needed to go into that. It's almost like producers were behind the scenes like, hey Xander, you should go over there and start chit chatting with Danny and Deshaun and all of them just so we have some scenes. Call me crazy if I was on Survivor. The second I found out that we had a way out of this tribal and keeping someone that we needed, I just would have went and like sat underneath the coconut tree and just went swimming for the rest of the day.
Right.
So bad. I mean, at this point in the episode, every like 2 minutes we get a very bad move, then we get like a good move, and then we get a very bad move. Pretty much every 2 minutes for the rest of this episode, and I thought this was a bad move.
I don't know about every other. I think there was one good move and like 12 bad moves in this episode.
I can tell talking to you guys. I'm actually much more higher, and I'm a negative Nancy. I was much more higher on this episode. It seems like than you guys. I think you guys already know what my most hated part will be, but that comes up at the end. But I did think that there was some really good gameplay around here, while also being surrounded by really bad.
Yeah. I think for me, the reason I'm maybe not high on it is because like Xander, Evie, and Tiffany didn't necessarily do anything to get themselves out of this. It was more that the Majority Alliance did some very bafflingly bad moves that spared this, Minority Alliance. So like for me, I'm like, okay, that was fun. But it would have been more fun had they gotten themselves out of this, themselves rather than, like, missing the bullet. Like, they stepped off the curve and the car, like, went right by them. But they didn't get hit, but it was, like, that close,
Yeah. I would describe it like a boxing match where each boxer punched themselves in the face 5 times. And then one of them finally landed an actual punch on their opponent, and that was a knockout punch. And that's just not a fun box. It's a funny boxing match to watch, right? From like, it's like, you're gonna talk about it because it's like so ridiculous. But it wasn't an impressive boxing match to watch, and it wasn't like the greatest boxing match of all time. You're just kind of talking about it because it was so baffling and ridiculous. And that's kind of what I see here, where I think both sides made like 5 mistakes, and then Xander made the one good decision that mattered, which was giving the idol an advantage to Tiffany.
Yes. And it didn't even matter because the Majority Alliance was still in the winning position, and they fucked themselves over. So it's maybe it's like they punched themselves in the face. One boxer whiffed, but then the other boxer tripped over them after they whiffed and knocked themselves out. Because it was like, I tweeted it before. Like, I've spent 20 minutes after the episode trying to think why it was a 5-4 split on Sydney. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I'm like, there's no logic to it.
All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I know.
I just wanted to say why, like, I'm kind of low on it.
Spoilers for the people that are listening to the podcast while they watch the episode.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough to like, God damn it, Erica just came back from exile at 20 minutes.
Anything from the beach scenes that we want to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, I do have one. So this is what I was talking about where I like feel like I get a better sense is like Shan has been playing Survivor clearly with idiots on Dumbass Island, the Ua tribe, to the point where I think she convinced herself that she's a strategic mastermind, to the point where she's like underselling the potential of other players, which leads to like situations like this. Like, I think as a player, and we talk like probably every episode I've had a moment like this where I'm like, I want to talk to the future players who might listen to it. When you go on Survivor, you have to think that everyone is at least as smart as you, if not smarter than you, or you're going to get outfoxed. The second you feel like I'm the smartest person in the room, that's when you get undercut, and that's when you get, bamboozled, as it were.
Yeah,
so
that's when you get, as Token Sheens Tyson says, outfoxed by an idiot.
Exactly. And
Brian, go ahead.
And I think just Shan just was like, she has been playing a game where like everything has worked out for her. She's called all the shots. She's been put into a position where she feels like, I can't lose. Like, these people are dumb. I'm badass. I've voted 4 people out. I've stolen someone's extra vote. Like, I'm really good at this. So in that way, she kind of like closes herself off from like thinking, okay, the Minority Alliance is obviously plotting. She's just like, Liliana's like, oh, won't Xander know that I'm gonna steal it from him and give it to Evie? And she just straight up was like, no. What do you mean no? Obviously he knows. Like,
This is after he told
Yeah.
Danny, right? Yeah.
Important piece of table setting. This is after he told Danny and Sydney was there, and after Danny ran back and told Liana that Xander knew.
right.
So
I still think Shan is a driving force there.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to totally put her down, but
No, I don't mean to put her down.
But I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. She's not used to playing with smart players.
You don't have to be an A+ player to win Survivor. You just have to have the highest grade in the class. Like, all that matters is who you're playing against. And if you can, if she can recover and kind of have this moment where she's like, oh, I underestimated people, I'm not going to do that again, she can become a better player. But I just think in this moment, she just like overestimated herself or underestimated other players.
Yeah. I still think Shan isn't by far the best social position.
Yeah.
And like it's still probably the likely winner from my perspective.
Right.
But like
Totally agree.
we leave this episode with her alliance unnecessarily burning 2 advantages and Xander getting to keep his idol and Evie.
And his number 1 ally.
Yeah,
couldn't have gone worse.
So yeah, this was a huge stumble, an enormous stumble that was completely unnecessary. So yeah.
Should we get into it? Because I think this is where most of my gripes with this episode.
Yeah. Let's go.
Go ahead, gripe along, because I think we'll
Floor's
probably have
yours.
similar gripes.
So I mean, I think right away we get into everything with the idol and Leanna. I think that Leanna comes out of this episode looking very, very bad. I think
Yes.
that she I think it's been made very clear she really just wanted to play a really smart move and just didn't think about how to play it smart, because once again, this is 41. I've only seen maybe half the seasons. I knew because I thought it was too stupid for Xander to pull out that immunity idol and reveal that he had it. Immediately I said to myself, I go, that's a fake. Because I don't even remember seeing that. I go, that's a fucking fake idol.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the edits, even if I was sitting that tribal, I would have been like, that's a fake idol. If I had known that he had gone to Danny and said that, I would have immediately thought to myself, maybe you look dumb by not asking him if he has the idol. Sure. Maybe you look dumb if you go to Evie and she doesn't have the idol. Sure. But at least it would have looked better than you just going straight to the source, who you knows that you could take his idol. Mm-hmm. She was just too hell-bent on A, getting Xander out, and B, wanting to make the big move. She said it. I don't blame her for wanting to make a big move, because like I said, she knew she should have made it when they voted out Voce. Because in the end, it worked out for Evie, did not work out for her. And I think she knew that was not good. I like screamed at my TV when she picked Xander, because it was almost like Xander was telling her to pick him, and she still did it. Dumb. And sorry Ben.
No.
I hope that she is one of the next to go, because I think that she botched that so. It was worse than Ty doing the double votes for someone that no one else voted for. It's just she completely botched that advantage, and it's just she's now going to be the sacrificial, the lamb, the goat for her alliance, and I think she should, because she burned all of her everything that she had to really offer there. So, and I don't think she plays a good social game. Based on what we've seen, really, I don't think that she plays a really great social game, and I think that's all she had.
She already lost 3 jury votes probably by this move, so I would say that's an accurate assessment.
But I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, because I have thoughts on different steps as we go on.
We can go. I 100% agree. Like, obviously, I'm not gonna pull any punches because Liana's my winner pick or anything like that. This was horrifically stupid. It was so ham-fisted and telegraphed and obvious what Xander was doing that I am perplexed that anybody at home didn't, like, if there was some people, I've seen on like social media apparently there were people at home that didn't realize what was going on as it happened, and they thought that like Xander was like an orangutan. I guess I don't know, but like
I was nervous. I was like, "There's no way he could be this stupid." But
Yeah,
No.
there's no way.
No,
like you're watching it, like there's no way. Just stop.
He's not even a good. He wasn't even a good actor. It was like I'm gonna pull it slightly out of my thing, and then just like flash this like charm bracelet at you, and just put this slightly back. Oh, I have the idol, guys. I'm gonna play the idol that is in my possession, in my pants right now, in my pocket. On Evie, I'm gonna play this idol that I have right here in my hand. I have it; it's mine. Like, come on.
And it's like one thing if Liana didn't know Tiffany had spilled the beans.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, okay, but she knew. She knew. It was all in the open. Like, I think like the big brain move is to pick Tiffany there. You know, we've seen similar situations. It was with Tiffany.
Yeah.
But the only correct, like, I don't know how to put this, but picking Evie makes a million times more sense than picking Xander, who is openly, like, if Xander and Evie had both been like, one of us have it, you got to pick, fine. Okay, picking Xander is fine there. But, like, the fact that Xander was like, look at me, like, it's pretty bad. It's bad.
I don't doubt that obviously being on the island, it's much different in terms of paranoia. You're not eating. You're not eating. You're not drinking as much as you probably should. You're baking out in the sun all day. You're doing nothing but just listen to lies and paranoia from everyone.
Actually, before I hopped on, I was talking to Jenny, and she was like, "This is the group that got to eat. Why are they the ones doing this?"
That is true. Less than 24 hours before they just feasted. Yeah. Well, actually, I guess technically Liana didn't. Technically,
it's true. That's true.
They had a little bowl.
Shan didn't as well, and Shan was also one of the primary people pushing for this stupidity.
Man.
So yeah, I guess it's more fair. But like to me, this is like you're playing poker. The other person puts their cards on the table, shows you that they have the nuts, and you're like, no, I still want to go all in.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's bad. There's just no other way to put it. It's just unfortunate. But honestly, not as bad as it goes. It gets worse.
It gets worse.
We can talk about my winner pick soon.
People stand up, when people stood up.
My favorite part of Survivor.
I audibly groaned. We talked about in the first. Was that the first tribal, the live tribal, what everybody got?
Was that like the first tribal of the season? Like, so ridiculous.
I hate live tribal. I agree. I think Brian said it. You should have to remain in your seat and talk out loud, or at least be able to whisper to the person next to you.
Yeah.
Hated it. It's just too meta. I don't like it. Everybody's literally like not even whispering. They're like yelling. It's like you got people that are 2 inches apart. Nasir doesn't know what's going on. He's running back and forth. Thank God, though. This is why I'm redeeming Shan. Thank God Shan at least said, should we at least split the votes? Because that, and at least Deshaun said to someone, you know what, maybe we should consider voting for Evie. Did anybody say Evie's name? That was the only 2 episodes of common sense, I think, in that tribal there from that alliance. And then they still fucked it up.
Yeah. They fucked up a winning hand somehow. They folded on pocket aces. Like, it just, I don't understand it. And I really don't understand, like, I want to shade Erica too badly because she, hasn't had much material. And I feel like the only time we talk about her, it's going to be mean. But it's like, girl, why are you just going back to this alliance that, like, you said you didn't feel a part of? Yeah. They ditched you for Nasir. They sent you to Exile Island for 2 days, and all of a sudden you're in the fucking huddle at Tribal Council. Like, yep, I'm a part of this. This is my crew.
Yeah, no. When Dylan said everyone stood up for the live tribal, I was like, yes, all 10 players stood up.
Yep.
And then Jeff got some field commentary from some producers, Erica and Heather, who were still in their seats.
Mm-hmm. Erica was just like, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because in hindsight, if you're gonna still side with that alliance, why did you I guess you protect yourself. That was the only reason you smashed it. Sure. Oh God. Hey, there is someone that did one smart thing, maybe, maybe with a roll of a die. I mean,
Yeah.
we could have had a two-way tie, but she didn't know that. But at least someone finally who knew they were probably going to get voted out did the smart thing and rolled the die. So
Yeah, I
props to
mean,
Sydney.
she got voted off and she played it. That's the smart move. Like,
Yeah.
there was no way for her vote to matter. So,
Mhm.
Did we confirm? Did Deshaun play his double?
oh,
vote?
he did.
Yeah,
He
oh,
did.
This is what we're talking about, Dylan.
So I think I missed that because I was about to say I'm trying to think of why Deshaun messed it up so much. Okay, so it was Deshaun that okay. Now I'm caught up now.
Yeah, he didn't even play it in a way that would have made sense. He played it for no reason, for literally no reason. I mean, the reason is because he no, there's no reason. I'm sorry. There's no reason to play it. They should have split 4-4. I don't know why they decided to split 5-3, then 5-4 with the extra vote. And I don't know why they decided to split 5-4 on Sydney.
I'll say, I think maybe this is the argument.
Okay.
Xander does have an extra vote, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe that's the argument. Maybe that's the play. If they know that he has an extra vote, which I don't think they do, right? We're giving them a lot of credit here. But I don't think they know.
Liliana probably does because he told the tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that could have been explained better, I think, if that was the reasoning. Maybe that gets explained next week, and we kind of walk this back slightly. Because technically, if they do a 4-4, right, between Evie and Sydney doesn't play her shot in the dark, and they have 4 votes strong, and then I guess in this instance, Tiffany plays Xander's extra vote. They could theoretically have a 5-4-4, which would have been smart to do in hindsight. And maybe in Deshaun's mind, he's like, okay, I think that Evie's going to play the idol anyways.
Yep.
If they're going to have 5 votes with an extra vote, it's more likely that my extra vote will matter. Again, if I put it on Sydney, then on Evie. But this is we're going 4 levels deep.
I'm glad we talked this through because this, not just because he's my winner pick, but this is definitely his. This is the only thing that makes sense.
Okay, I would say this is the only thing that makes sense. This is not just because it's the only thing that makes sense doesn't necessarily mean this is why he did it.
Fair. Okay.
A lot of things happened in this episode that didn't make a lot of sense.
Mm. Yeah, well, no, but you're right because the 5 on Sydney makes sense in the scenario you're putting out. So
yes,
maybe
that's the only way.
I feel dumb for just not counting the votes and then asking you did he vote?
No, well, Ben because initially we didn't know if Dylan was going to be on the episode, so I called Ben after the episode because I was like, I don't understand what happened, and we kind of broke through the vote. So that's the only reason why we're a little more into this because we were confused, so confused. At least I was.
Oh yeah, I was as well.
Because what I initially thought had happened and what I was like, damn, that was cold, but good gameplay was I thought Xander had sniped Sydney by being like, we're going to lose this vote 4-4-4. I'm just going to throw my vote onto Sydney to make it 5-4-3. I'll keep my idol. I'll keep my ally. So after the votes were read, I was like, oh, that's why Xander's so confident. That's why Xander said don't play the idol. He knows what's going to happen. We're gonna lose the battle to try to at least stay in the war. But that's not what happened. No, so I was like, oh, never mind. This isn't great gameplay. This is just sloppy gameplay working out for Xander.
So crazy not to play the idol. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought Xander was doing because I was like, honestly, I would throw my vote onto Sydney in that situation. If I'm 100% in with Evie, which I think at this point Xander is, I'm I'm just losing Sydney. I don't care about Sydney. I've known Sydney for 2 days, you know?
Also,
So,
unfortunately for Sydney, I think Sydney is another like pretty maybe like a good player that just got caught the butt end of the stick with
yes.
a lot of stupid players because
Mhm.
again she rolled the die. She recognized that she was going to get fucked over by her alliance, so she fought to stay in it. So rip to Sydney, the next Danny Voce. She's gone way too soon.
No, it reminds me of like in Big Brother when like early in the game they'll have a lot of like stupid ways that people will be protected, and then like the person who's like on paper the fourth or fifth target of like whoever like the alliances is the person who just ends up getting voted off because it's like, well, that person has safety because of this competition or like this twist and that, and so we're just all the way down to this person who didn't necessarily do anything wrong but got like through circumstances on the wrong side of stuff.
So who do we think the new flip votes are going to be? Nasir and Erica probably.
I don't know if well, Erica said she's ready to play, but then she didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Um,
At least maybe she can be swayed. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if Yase puts her on Exile Island, maybe she'll vote with them.
Yeah. Well, so this vote was 8-4. After Sydney's gone, it's 8-3. So there needs to be 3 swing votes in order for this to flip in the favor of the 3 Yasas. Or at the very least, you need to like trick them into doing a split vote, and then either snagging with the idol with 1 flip or flipping 2 people. I think is the way the numbers work out. But either way, it's an enormous uphill battle for these 3.
you can flip one person.
Well, they have the extra vote as well, but Xian also has an extra vote, so it kind of evens out.
True.
And Xian also has an idol. So. And Nasir also has an idol.
But do we think that they put in the steel advantage again just because it got fucked? It got messed up.
No.
I think maybe we'll see a merge idol. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
That one's out there. But I mean, the only real chance for that 3, like they made it through this tribal council, which is great, but the only real chance now is try to figure out who the most self-interested people in that majority alliance are and just try to like do something. Because like obviously to us, Nasir, Heather, Erica are on the bottom. Yep. I don't think that's clear to any of those 3, at least in this moment, that they're on the bottom of the majority alliance. So I don't know if even like going to them to pitch would be that helpful. You need to like hope that players are like more self-interested than like, you know, these other players seem to be very unself-aware of their standing.
Although, as we've seen, the second that something doesn't go right, there's just chaos with that alliance.
So, yeah, that's the one thing that's kind of making me hopeful is like the majority alliance, despite everything, despite 2 advantages being played and having like an overwhelming majority, still didn't really get what they wanted, and that could kind of fuck with them in a way that makes people more willing to like be like, I need to really like seize the moment now.
Yeah. No, again, this was enormous fumble, but they were like in such a crushing position that it still probably won't matter.
Right.
So yeah,
I don't know. It's fine, but
yeah.
Let me ask you guys, who's your MVP of the episode? You know mine. So.
No, I think it's the same. I think it's Xander.
I think Xander or Tiffany for sharing information, but probably Xander. I mean, the fact that worked, unreal, but I guess you can't argue results, right?
One thing I do want to double back on, though, from last episode and how big of a mistake that was Shan asking Leanna about the advantage in front of Tiffany.
I mean, I'll still defend that. I think the bigger mistake is Liana telling the truth to Tiffany about what the advantage was. If she has no interest in working with Tiffany, even like in the near future, you could easily just say, "Yeah, it's an extra vote."
I take that back. You're right. You're 100% right. It is. There's no reason. There was no reason to tell. Yes, bad player. Liana has turned into a bad player right before our eyes. And, yeah, I hate to see it because I liked her before this, but bad player.
Yeah, it is what it is. Next week will be more interesting because it's going to be wide open. Anyone can catch votes. So,
sorry.
Sorry.
I was going to piggyback with you. I was going to say, yeah, I think that we're maybe going to start getting some actual Survivor now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we might get one vote of just the majority, but I think these players are going to be self-interested. Maybe I'm just telling myself that because I want this to be true, but like they strike me as a good cast of hard players.
Yeah, after Big Brother 23, we're just these players will be self-interested, just hitting the copium tanks over here.
Yep. That basically, if it ends up like BB23, it'll just be the majority alliance just rolling down, and all the people on the bottom only figuring out they're on the bottom as they're about to leave. And never a moment before. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully not. Yeah, I think that we've at least seen out of people like Shan that she's willing to be pretty ruthlessly self-interested and also like extremely paranoid. So I definitely think that there could be some interesting stuff with her going forward here.
Yeah. Hey, and if nothing else, made for an interesting episode that we got a lot of content out of.
Yep. We got our prediction last week of Xander countering the play by giving his advantage and idol away. I'll take the W of
it was you,
predicting.
Right? It said Sydney. All right. I couldn't remember which one of you said Sydney.
He said Sydney. I said Evie, which I'm gonna also count as a win because I was half right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
they went after Evie first, so maybe I was the most right, but.
I said Ricard, which was not right at all.
I was very close though with the retroactive reveal that Xander knew. I just didn't think it was going to be that early on.
Yeah, no, yeah, like a lot. I think a lot of the storyline this season. It's weird because they're like simultaneously trying to do this like genius style editing of like, oh, look at this huge surprise twist, but they're also like telegraphing a lot with the editing and the storytelling. So like, I personally felt like most of the story beats in this episode were pretty predictable.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It seemed like people liked it anyways. So
I think that's also why I'm saying that it doesn't feel like that there's a whole lot of they're not revealing how the conflict is brewing because a lot of so much of these twists are being shown after the fact that they've happened that we're already seeing the fallout before we see the actual twist unfold. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I still don't like that. I think like I said, it really takes you out of it. But
yeah, no, the Survivor has built like a franchise off of the tell don't show, where they'll have someone in a confessional tell you what's happening. Now they're doing the show don't tell a little bit, and I don't think, at least in this instance, it was necessary. I think we could have figured out like, or we could have just had a scene of him giving the idol and it would have been fine. It was a fun moment, I guess, but like in previous Survivor, we would have just had like a confessional where it's like Xander's like, oh, I really don't know who I'm gonna give it to. Like, I could hold on to it. This would be a good reason for that. Evie could have it. This would be a good reason for that. Or maybe I could give it to Tiff. We don't know. And then we would have gone in not knowing, and then we would have found out when he was like, oh, that's a fake idol, But yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I guess also with this episode with so many mistakes, maybe I shouldn't have taken it for granted that that Xander would make the obviously correct decision, which is to give the idol advantage to Tiffany. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Anything else?
Xander, I just can't believe it. That's my biggest blunder of the episode. We should, at the end of each episode, I would need to do the biggest blunder. My biggest blunder was honestly Leanna. What was Leanna picking Xander straight up? I just can't get over that.
It's not good.
No.
Yeah, no, I think everything else, like, you could even just kind of invent a universe where it might make sense. But that one is, like, completely, yeah, it's indefensible.
Yeah. Oh man, we got anything else we want to talk about on this episode?
Not as much. Not a whole lot of Jeff, which I liked. Not a whole lot of Jeff talking to us.
Yep.
Like a dog.
Yeah,
But
he didn't address us. That's good.
He outsourced it to Eric.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
No, it's good. No new fodder for my sleep paralysis demon of Jeff Probst leering into my soul.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Even beyond all the stupid things, one of the stupidest things, in my opinion, in this episode was at the tribal council when Jeff said, "Look what you've done, Erica." It's like, what?
She's the only one sitting down.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if Erica knows what's going on. What do you mean what she's done?
Yeah.
Just because a different collection of people are immune doesn't mean she has any impact on what's going on right now. Like, it would just be the same thing, but with Xander as the target.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
interesting. At the end of the day, I guess Stanny gets what he wants with just a girl leaving. He really came out on top at the end.
Yeah. All right. I mean, that's all I have. This episode to me kind of was like a Michael Bay film, and so I'm just kind of I was perplexed. I guess I wasn't that perplexed when I saw like a bunch of people freaking out about how like amazing it was and like, you know, best episode of Survivor ever and all this like crazy hyperbole. But
Hey.
yeah,
The hot take, like Twitter Survivor fans are often like the people who you look back and like, damn, they were so wrong. Like in Edge of Extinction, when everyone said that tribal was the best tribal, where they all talked and stood up and they didn't subtitle it, and then someone completely random went home, and I was like, wow, that sucked. Let me check Twitter, and everyone was like, best episode ever.
Mhm.
But I think people are on my side now. I think people like.
I think it's just
understand.
sorry, my daughter's woke up in the background. She's too nervous
Oh, no.
in front of the camera. I think people are just happy to see some actual gameplay,
Yes. Yep.
good or bad. I think, and including myself. That's why I think I think this is probably my favorite episode of the season, just because I'm excited to see actual gameplay unfold, regardless of some of it being super sloppy. But it felt like Survivor, honestly, for one of the first times this season. So that's why I'm kind of high on it.
Yeah. And we burned some advantages.
yeah.
We need to keep that going. We need to keep this 2 advantage burning a pace or tribal pace up, because I'm through. I don't want any more. I hate them.
I almost guarantee we're gonna get at least one next week.
Oh yeah,
Oh, for
we're getting
At
an idol
least-
at the
at
very
least
least. Yeah.
Because this wasn't the merge episode. Remember, next week was the merge episode. So,
True.
like they're all merged now. But yeah,
Question about that: is Sydney gonna be on the council?
I don't think she's on the jury, right? She
no.
said
The
in her
jury?
exit,
Oh,
she
man.
said it was referenced in the tribal council, like, you know, Evie, I think, said that she didn't
Evie,
want to not even make jury, and then in Sydney's final words, she said, "I'm glad I don't have to see any of these losers ever again, because I'm not even on the jury."
Mhm.
Oh, that
love
sucks.
Sydney.
I'd be pissed. That sucks.
Yeah, we haven't seen this since Kelly in Worlds Apart, right? She was the last merge person who got. I know it's not a merge, but it's a merge. Who got clipped and then left off the jury.
Yeah,
Brutal spot.
it's not a fun spot.
I didn't even think about that till now. That sucks because the whole thing was a merge, but you're still like you're just not getting the benefit of it. Damn.
And probably because of COVID, there's no pre-jury trip this year either. So you're like either stuck in a hotel or going home.
Yep.
Terrible.
I think they did do a trip. Maybe I'm wrong.
All
I think they did maybe like a small like local trip or something. But yeah, I think that people are going to undersell how much Sydney was screwed here, because I think that Sydney, like, you know, is very openly and obviously a villain and like hard leaning into being a villain. So I don't think a lot of people are like, you know, jumping to sympathize or empathize with her super strongly. But like she was hardcore screwed this episode.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah, she reminded me of Corinne a lot, so I guess it's fitting that this happened.
I don't know if we will get a full blown villain this season. Honestly,
maybe not now. Not with Sydney.
No.
Not a villain who embraces being a villain.
Maybe like an evil mastermind attempt to be in Shan, since she's clearly willing to cut some throats. But like, yeah, I don't think there'll be anyone that's like like you said, willing to embrace being the villain.
Yeah, I mean it's rare. It's like people don't want to go on these shows to be the villain, but I feel like they should. It's a lot more fun. Like
my second all-time favorite player was deemed by some to be a villain, but he was not. He was a hero, Coach. Dragon Slayer.
He was a hero. The Last of the Mohegans, as he calls himself in one of his.
Who's your favorite player? I thought Coach was.
Coach is up there. Spencer's one of my favorite players too. Just based on
the young lad.
Himself. Jeremy's up there. Let's see. I probably have like a top 4. Who's the big one I'm forgetting?
Natalie Anderson.
Natalie is.
Oh really? Right.
No, yeah,
Good.
I love Natalie. Probably my favorite move in any of Survivor was her playing the idol to hit Baylor. That was probably one of my favorite moves. Another great one that like wasn't revealed in retrospect or anything like that. She just said it and it was like just like a mind blowing thing.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
I think people are going to come around to realize that San Juan del Sur, especially Natalie's arc, is one of the better like storylines in Survivor.
A revenge arc too. I'm like kind of holding off on watching Winners at War, and I'm excited, even though I know it's not a lot of people's favorite season, just to see so many of those players that I liked watching the entire summer, like to see them all together in one. The one I'm forgetting is Penner. I really like Penner.
Yeah.
Very big. I love Penner a lot, especially now that I'm watching 16. And to be able to see him, even though I know his outcome is pretty cool. So that's probably like my top 5.
No, I mean Penner, all-time narrator of the show, like just one of the great confessional people like ever. He's a storyteller, as he said in
I'm a storyteller.
25.
That's what I do.
And he's really good at it. He's so great.
A player that I think both loved and respected Survivor, the actual game of Survivor, which I think sometimes you get one or the other. I don't think you really get both. I think he was one of the people that was both.
Yeah,
so he's up there.
Definitely. No, love Penner. A lot of love for him. It's fun. It's fun to hear like who your favorite players are. It's as an old head who's just like, oh yes, that person.
I will say in 16, there's a lot of very likable players, people I'm rooting for. Just because you hear them referenced so much throughout like the other seasons I've watched. So I am thoroughly enjoying 16.
Yes.
I do like Fishback too. Now I'm just going through everyone that I like. I do like Fishback. I think Fishback got a bad rap. My wife for some reason hates Fishback, and I don't get it.
Really?
I think she really, because she's a big JT fan, and I think she did not like what went down in that final tribal. Where he basically like tried to flip on JT. She did not like that.
So, Fishback is the victim. JT like shot him in the back and then like buried him 10 foot deep. Like, for me, like I just see myself way more in Steven than I ever do in JT. So I think that's why I like and relate to him a lot.
I'm thoroughly looking forward to Heroes versus Villains too. Which because I know who's in there, and especially I just got Coach. I got Coach again, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, Heroes vs. Villains is a very epic season.
Yeah, it's a top 5, possibly top 3 for sure.
It's like one of the rare seasons where it's like an all-star cast and it's not disappointing.
Yeah,
like it's so easy on all-star seasons. I would say like Heroes vs. Villains is the top, and then like Game Changers is the bottom in terms of like satisfying narratives and satisfying like placements for legendary players and whatnot.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I have a huge soft spot for Fishback. He's a really cool dude. He was my preseason winner pick going into Token Machines back in the day. So
that's crazy. He almost made it. Also, yeah, and Token Cheese is just so fucking good. I watched it over the summer as well, and I was just like, damn, I love this season so much. From the players to the location, like really beautiful and unique. This is fun.
It took me a while to get used to it, because it was the first season I watched. It wasn't on a beach; it was in the middle.
Yeah.
So that took some getting used to. But I think that's actually before 16. I think that's the earliest season I've watched. So that was like it's amazing the difference in gameplay between like late 20s, early 30s, and then you go back to like 18. I'm on a river, and there's like it was very good. Like I said, I had a great summer just watching Survivor. This is a reminiscing point of this podcast. I can go on for.
We had to get it over an hour. That's the move. But no, I agree, and I'm a big proponent. Like I like the beach seasons, but I think they should do some wood seasons. Like they're cool, they're different. Like, and I don't know. Every time there's a backyard season of Survivor, it's in the woods, so it would feel more like that.
Well, isn't it? Did you say in other countries they do like urban? They do like urban Survivor. Am I making that up?
No, they were. I think for this season, before they just kind of shuttered it for a year and then came back and were able to renegotiate with the country of Fiji. They were, I think, looking at places in Georgia to film.
It would have been cool.
Yeah.
Plus, they have, like, if they wanted to do a cowboy season, they have that, like, ranch place that Kid Nation was filmed on. They could just go there.
Is that still a functioning set?
Yeah, that's actually where they were filming that Rust movie with, like, Alec Baldwin.
Ooh. Was it really? Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's no good.
But, yeah, some bad energy there.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe not do it now. Yeah. They could have before. Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, I think whatever. If being on the beaches of Fiji is what keeps Survivor alive for longer, I'm for it. But I wouldn't hate a shake-up in location at some point.
Yeah, I think that was more natural than maybe just completely changing the entire game itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the other hand, though, like, the location being repetitive is not in the top 10 of my complaints about this.
No. Yeah. So. It is becoming, like, to the point where it's like, oh, like, where they did the immunity challenge today, it's like, oh, that's where they did the final immunity of David versus Goliath, you know? Like, yeah. I recognize this area.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts, I guess? We kind of went on, like, a bajillion tangents here in the last 5 to 10 minutes.
That's fine. It's in our contract that we have to.
No, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Nope.
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. You guys want to shout out your social medias then before we wrap up?
Well, if you're on YouTube, just check the screen. DJ Clubberlang with 2 B's. I always say 2 B's. I don't know if people only suspect one. DJ Clubberlang with 2 B's.
Follow him there. You can follow me on Twitter at @theFakeBMarr. That's BMARR. I recently did a collaboration with our friends Casual Panic. That's their YouTube channel where we did a like Halloween special with the game Phasmophobia, where we kind of did like a machinima, so it's like a semi-scripted improv thing. It's not just us playing the game. It's like it has a narrative. It was very, very fun to do. So check that out. And then other than that, you can find me on the Wicked Good Sports channel, where I do videos at least 5 times a week over there. So check it out then.
It's gonna be a very grim week of videos coming up for Brian on all the recent news going on.
I don't know how to cover some of the stuff. I'll be honest, like especially like the Henry Ruggs situation. Like it's very sad. And, and then also fuck Aaron Rodgers for lying about being vaccinated. That's not cool. It was fuck Cole Beasley. Now it's fuck Aaron Rodgers. At least Cole Beasley was open about it.
So check out Wicked Good Sports for some feel-good news this week.
I just shout out Leah Brillman on Twitter, who said that fantasy football this season is like Survival 41, where you can't predict all of these wild twists with injuries and COVID and crazy shit that's happening.
Yeah. In the league I'm in with Dylan, I was like, man, I should have drafted Derrick Henry instead of Christian McCaffrey first overall. Doesn't matter now. Doesn't matter at all. They're both hurt.
Yeah. No. I mean, in my other league, I had Calvin Ridley just decide that he's not playing football anymore.
Yeah, same with the league that I'm in with Dylan. I also have Calvin Ridley.
I left him because I didn't see it because he basically decided last minute last week, and so. Yeah, I'm going to probably come in last in that league. Because,
if you made it this far into the pod, God bless you.
Yeah,
they're the true fans.
I'm probably going to come in last in one fantasy league and hopefully win the other. So that's my plan.
This football talk is the equivalent of the secret message thing that they're doing on the episode that they shoehorned in. Yeah.
Did you guys solve it? It was I think it's idle in your pocket is I think what it was.
Oh, I didn't. I see that and my brain immediately blacks out. I'm not perceiving this. I refuse.
I just see it screenshotted on Twitter, and it's again designed for 4-year-olds, so it's pretty easy to figure out. So you can find me on Twitter, I guess, at Ben Sharon. You can follow the main channel on Twitter at WG Everything, and you can also follow the main channel on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Twitch and YouTube at Wicked Good Everything. This channel on YouTube at Better Radio is our podcast channel. Yeah, otherwise
so close to 100 subscribers. Please tell your friends to subscribe.
Almost have a custom link. It'll be way easier for people to find us when we hit 100 subscribers. We don't care about the clout. We don't care about the money. We just want it to be easier for people to find the channel. And then again, Blindsiders on all major podcasting platforms. We'll be back to talk about Week 8. Next week. Till then, see you later.